Sturdy for 30. We've got a special edition right now. I'm really excited about this because for me, this is a really important topic right now in the state of Illinois. I know a lot of times we talk about Illinois athletics on here, and that's the main idea. But here I want to talk about some high school athletes. They're going through a rough time during this COVID pandemic. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn it over here. I'm going to let you guys kind of introduce yourself. You just tell us your name and what high school you go to. There, go ahead. We'll start. Hallie, why don't you go first?
I'm Hallie Mitchell. I'm a senior at Morel Forsyth High School, and I play softball, basketball, and I'm on the dance team.
All right.
I'm Caroline Kerr. I go to the high school St. Thomas More in Champaign, and I play volleyball.
I'm Claire Campbell. I'm a junior at Warrensburg Latham High School, and I play volleyball.
I'm Sophie Lois. I go to Sacred Heart Griffin. I'm a senior, and I play basketball and golf.
All right, so we got multi-sport athletes, guys who these are high-level athletes. I will say one thing that's kind of unique about these four, that they aren't typical athletes, in that they're all four committed to Division I schools right now in a variety of sports, whether it be two of them committed to volleyball, one to softball, and one to basketball. And I'll let them tell you more about that later, possibly. But so, girls, and I'll start. Caroline, why don't you go first? Tell us, how have you been able to deal with this? What's it been like dealing with this COVID pandemic for you?
Yeah, I really focus on like what I can control and like not focusing on things that are out of hand, like most have probably tried to. I've been able to stay in the workout gym, so been able to still get workouts in with my trainer, and so that's definitely been the best thing for me, and just focusing on like this is a time that I can go heavy and not have to worry about like overdoing it. And so really just putting my 100% into the workouts every day, and ultimately just like staying positive and like taking positives out of every day, like getting to spend more time with my family, or like just getting to see the little things that maybe not all athletes get to do year round because of their sport takes up a lot of time.
So if you're, as a basketball player, Sophie, you've kind of it's kind of been the roughest right now, I think, because we're looking at basketball as being a sport that's going to be difficult to get played right now based on the calendar and the way it is. And what's it been like for you? How have you been able to deal with the highs and lows as you go through this? I think you see maybe one day it's like exciting, maybe we're going to have a new schedule, and then the next day it's like, no, we're not. So how have you been able to deal with that?
Well, starting back in November, we got all that good news that IHSA was going to go against the governor and actually have a season. And then the first day of practice, we find out everything's canceled again, or like the first day, I think it was November 16th or 17th, around there. And so that was a really like low point in like the school year. And then we haven't been with our team since then. We haven't had a practice. We haven't done anything because we aren't allowed to have contact practices. So that's been really tough, not being able to see my teammates and all that. But we've been still getting in the gym. And we've been going to Bettendorf, Iowa to play. And I know a lot of kids in Illinois have been going out of state to play, which is a hard pill to swallow, that like we can't play in Illinois when we're playing it everywhere else. But yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I think it's hard to watch those states around you play, and then you guys aren't getting that opportunity. Now, Hallie, you actually were very you spoke at the Capitol, I believe, last spring, as I recall. Is that accurate? So what about you? I mean, you've kind of had a leading role in maybe this Hear Our Voice Illinois campaign, and what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's definitely been frustrating for sure. It's just like you can't really get your hopes up, just kind of like what everybody's been saying. Like you figure out at one point that maybe we can get in some contact days or something, and then the next day it's like, no, we're back to square one. And it's just kind of like, by this point, I don't know, I just feel like I can't get my hope up that much anymore. But no, definitely just getting my voice heard and like speaking at the Capitol was definitely so cool, and it was an experience I've never had before. But yeah, that was really cool, and just having a voice in all of this for sure is definitely amazing. So yeah.
Now, some people might, ask you guys, and I think all of you are in maybe a different scenario than some people, because you're all going to go on and play in college. I mean, that's your plan, to go on and play in college. but you also have teammates who aren't going to go play in college, and this might be it for them. And then they're not going to get that opportunity to maybe play a senior year in whatever sport it is, whether it's basketball, volleyball, or softball. Do you have any teammates like that you kind of feel for as we're going through this situation?
For sure.
Anybody? Yeah, go ahead. Hallie, do you have any teammates that aren't going to this it for them, their last chance?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I have a whole bunch of friends that I've played with since I was in grade school, middle school, and just knowing that this is going to be our last year to play together, hopefully. It's already sad as it is, and now knowing that we might not even get our last season together, it's just heartbreaking. I mean, it definitely is different for them because I know I still get to play softball my next 4 years, but for the kids who this was all they had, it's just I don't know. It's hard to put me in their shoes, you know, like it must just be totally different feeling. So
Claire, what's it like for you? I mean, you're being a junior, you know, you've got another year, but you're seeing these seniors kind of go through this time period where they don't know if they're going to get to have this senior year. What's it like for you? What have you seen?
Yeah, so I definitely feel for them. It's just hard. I have a lot of girls on my team, and we were just all looking forward to this season and growing together. And we don't get to play together so far. And like Hallie said, we're not keeping our hopes up because we don't know what's going to happen. So we're definitely staying positive, but like, it's just great that there's still like everyone on my team is so optimistic and staying positive, and we're all still connecting and like doing anything we can to like stay together and still have that like team connection. So really like working on the mental side of the game, you know, even though they might not get to play, I just see everyone putting in a lot of work behind the scenes. And that's just like a great thing to see out of your team.
That's great. Now, Soph, you would tell them they need to just take up golf because you get to play golf, right? Is that what you say?
Kind of. Get to play until sectionals, and then you can't play state.
Which didn't make
yeah.
a lot of sense either, did it? So, yeah, it was weird. So, and I think that's for me. I know a lot of the kids that, you know, for you guys all know that I coach as well, and the kids that I deal with, and the kids, they have the same thoughts. You know, it doesn't make a lot of sense when you see people next door getting to play. You can drive 2 hours and you can play, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. And so I guess when I look at these things, and a lot of you've talked about some of the things, but some of the best things that I remember as a coach and also as a player aren't necessarily the games themselves. And I know you guys are missing the games, you're missing that competition, but some of you are getting those games as well. But it's that time in the locker room, it's that time before and after practice, it's those times. Give me what you're missing there when it comes to like maybe before or after practice. Go ahead. I'll go ahead and Sophie, why don't you start?
I would say the holiday tournaments. I miss those the most. Staying in the hotels, having team dinners, just hanging out, and just being able to get up and play the game the next day. I miss that the most, I think. And like city tournament, definitely. That's coming up or would have been coming up this week. So I'm really missing out on that. But yeah.
Hallie?
Yeah, no, for sure. Just when it comes to any sport, you always have, every team has, I feel like, something they do, either before a game, it's like a ritual or type thing. I know we have those in softball all the time, and especially in basketball, those locker room chats. You don't get anything like it, that's for sure. But yeah, just this is just small stuff, the memories and stuff that you make in the locker room, in the weight room, you know, with all your teammates. There's just nothing like it. And I feel like that's really what I'm missing. And I bet a lot of other people are missing, that they've kind of just realized, you know, it is more than just the actual game. But yeah, it's really sad.
And of course, you two are showing the friendship side of things that are built through athletics, maybe through I'm guessing club volleyball, right? And so you guys have got that interaction. So what are you guys missing during this time?
Yeah, it's definitely been hard because we personally haven't played a volleyball game since last March. And so like we haven't been able to go out of state yet. And so it's been hard because we're sitting here thinking like we're supposed to go in a few weeks, and we're like, we're not going to know how to respond. Like this is going to be like an ultimate high. And so it's hard because you see all these girls competing, and the girls have acted like nothing's going on. And so you start to compare yourself, and then you start thinking like, what is this going to look like for me? And so I think we've definitely been able to, like, our club team has been able to Zoom, but just in terms of like school, like you don't always get that from like your whole school team. And so it's definitely been hard to like, because a lot of times you make a lot of friendships through your school season and get closer to girls outside of like your grade through that school season. And so you kind of miss out on a whole year of that. And so it's definitely been nice to still have our club team together, like Claire and I here. But yeah, it's definitely been a little bit different not having those connections with the other girls at my school through my school team.
All right, that's awesome. You guys, I mean, exactly what I was hoping to hear from you guys. But so now I'm going to kind of give you guys an opportunity. I want to give you a chance. You can speak to if you got a chance to talk to, whether it's Governor Pritzker, the IHSA, or lawmakers, whoever it is, the IDPH. What do you want to say? So I'm kind of let you guys kind of talk. You can go each of you one at a time. What do you want to say to them? And again, I see Sophie's like, ooh, I have a lot to say, but no, keep it. Let's go ahead, and Hallie, why don't you go ahead and start?
I would just say it's kind of like Paul said, it's more than a game. And I don't think he, as in the governor, I guess I can just point him out here, realizes that. And I think it's shown that all these kids, especially on the social media platforms, we're pouring our hearts out to them and, kind of explaining why we play a certain sport. And I think we're just realizing more with everything being canceled and stuff like that than we ever have, that we're needing it so much more, just because sports has been like an outlet for everybody, especially in difficult times. And the fact that we don't even have that, I would just kind of explain that part, especially the mental state. And I know everybody's saying the same exact thing. I would just keep on preaching that it's so much more, especially people's mental health and stuff. But I mean, everybody's doing a great job trying to portray that on the social media platforms. So yeah.
Soph?
Yeah, I feel like,
Claire, go ahead. No, Claire, you're fine.
I just feel like we're losing a lot of connections. Like, I have built some of my best friendships throughout sports, and like Hallie said, it's not just a game, it's like a huge part of my life. And it's just like hard to miss out on something that you put everything into. Like, we're all still working hard, and we just don't see like any positive sides of this so far. And so it'd just be nice to like have a little bit of like hope going into it, that like everything we're doing will have a purpose at the end.
I would just like to ask him, or our governor, why the science in Illinois is so much different than Iowa, Wisconsin, Michigan, and like Indiana, because it's devastating to see other kids playing and us just sitting on the sidelines and not being able to play the games that we love. And I'd also ask him to just take into consideration all of the student athletes' mental health, along with always like our physical health, but more importantly, our mental health, because it's definitely taken a strain on a lot of people I know, and me. But yeah.
Yeah, definitely what all three of those girls have just said, but it just like how the other states are able to run a season, and we aren't. Like, it's the same COVID in one state to another, and I just think that if they can get through a successful volleyball season, basketball season, softball season, like whatever the sport might be, I think there's got to be hope that we could too. And just to look beyond like our state itself and to see what they're doing and how we can implement that in our state, because ultimately these are people's futures, like current lives, and just like their relationships they're forming that you're messing with. And like it comes to a point where people are it just is too much for them. And I know there was like an incident up in Chicago this like with a quarterback, and like it's just there's some sad things happening that are starting to become a little bit too much, that it comes to a point where like you just have to incorporate this into people's lives, because this is what they've grown up around and need in their life.
Yeah, I agree. I think people want some hope right now. I mean, I know like the kids I talk to, our players, they just want to see some hope. They want to have a chance to just be together and build that camaraderie and things. So I'll tell you one thing I'm going to tell you guys, and I'll tell the four of you this. It makes me feel good to have people like you, young people like you guys coming up who are going to kind of be leaders down the road, willingness to come on here and talk, which is, and I'm sure it doesn't make you comfortable to do this. It's not something you guys crave or anything. So, but I'm impressed. I really am impressed with you guys, and I just want you to know that I appreciate you guys talking to me and talking out, speaking out, and I feel good about our future. So someday, hopefully one of you guys is going to be governor someday, and you'll remember you can do this, right? So at least a lawmaker of some kind, maybe a senator. I don't know, but I think you guys have a bright future. So I appreciate you coming on. Again, we've got 4 high school athletes that they just want you to hear what they have to say and that they want to play. So thanks again for coming on, ladies, and I appreciate your time.